Give me 10 minutes and I'll show you how to accomplish literally anything. Let's just get totally honest. When you're not where you want in life or in business, the temptation is to start asking how. How do I get there? How do I start that business? How do I get that next client? How do I change my life? How do I get in shape? How, right? And that's exactly where most people go wrong. Don't worry, I'm gonna explain. The how is important, but it's not the most important thing. Trust me, I've been there. I know exactly the power of how, but also the detriment of how. I'm gonna explain in today's lesson and what to do instead. Give me 10 minutes and I'm going to change everything for you. Let's get into it. I just wanted to take a quick second to say thank you for being here. You're a learner, you're a doer, you're my kind of person. And if you want to join people just like you in our growing community of entrepreneurs, hit subscribe right under this video. You grow, we all win. Thanks. Hey, future Omar here. So, funny story. This episode is not 10 minutes. After my team finished editing this episode, it's closer to about 15 to 20 minutes. What can I say? I got a little carried away. But I promise you, the extra minutes are packed with valuable insights. I just couldn't help myself. So stick around. It's worth every second and you're going to love it. All right, back to the lesson. When I was 22 years old, I started my career as an educator. I was a school teacher. And every day I would commute to work about 35 minutes. I'd be in my car driving 35 minutes one way to get to the school to where I teach. And I used to pop in these Tony Robbins CDs. And, Tony Robbins is known for this, motivator, guru kind of person. But I have found that he's actually really good at breaking down how people become successful. He's like a success psychologist, really. And one of the things that really stuck with me in those CDs I was listening to, Personal Power, I remember till this day what they were called, was this concept of the tyranny of how. And let me explain what that means. When you're stuck in the how of doing anything, like usually when you want to do anything, like I want to get in shape, first thing you think about is like, how do I get in shape? What do I have to do? But when you're stuck in that how, it's endless, it's chaotic, it's actually intimidating, especially as a beginner. How do I do XYZ becomes a maze of 100 doors with no map. But when you start with a different question, like why? Why are you getting in shape? Everything changes. Your why becomes a magnet. It organizes your thinking. It prioritizes your energy. It attracts the right steps. You actually know which steps to take because you're just following the why. The why becomes sort of your North Star. Now, the why isn't everything, okay? Don't get me wrong. I'm not just saying once you discover your why, the mission's over and you're successful. No, it's the first step. But it's important to start with this, as Simon Sinek talks in his book, Start With Why, because your why gives you fuel. It gives you the reason to keep going when things get tough. Your how will be revealed. It will reveal itself after you have a strong enough why. Think about it. How many times have you bought a book on how to start a business or how to do anything and it sat on the shelf, right? Why is it sitting on the shelf? Because you don't have a strong enough why to read it. But when you're fired up, when you're frustrated, when you've had it, right, you're driven. You're driven by the purpose if the why is strong enough. And that leads me to the next step. The next step is you will never change until something happens. Whatever it is in your life that you want to change, it will never change. Trust me, it will never change until your frustration outgrows your fear. The raw truth is that change only happens when this happens. It only happens when you are so fed up with the current situation that anything is better than this. You are willing to take the risk, to sacrifice, to do the work, to change it because the current state is unbearable. And most people don't make a change in their life, don't accomplish things because they never get to that point. Let me tell you a personal story that really illustrates this. Like I mentioned, I was a school teacher for 10 years. I moved up the ranks. I was head of department. And then I took the position of acting chair, the chair of the department. Now, acting chair basically means you're taking on the responsibility of somebody's role who left, but you don't officially have the position. You don't officially have the title or the salary or anything like that. And I did that job for 18 months without any extra pay or any extra recognition or official title. So I started to get frustrated. I went to my supervisor, the dean, and I asked her, hey, what's going on here? I thought I would get this position by now. Am I not doing a good job? And she was like, no, you're doing a great job. And then she just looked at me and leveled with me and said, I know the director of the university just wants to make an outside hire for this position. And at that moment, I was devastated. I felt powerless. I felt like I could work as hard as possible and do everything right, but somebody else can make a decision that can decide my fate. And at that moment, my frustration outgrew my fear. I got so frustrated at that point, I said, I'm going to leave this job and this profession and be my own boss and start my own business and be a full-time entrepreneur. That was 2012. And that's when I started my full-time career as an entrepreneur. And that was the best decision of my life, besides, meeting Nicole and marrying her and teaming up with her. But it changed everything for me. And it only happened because I was so fed up that I was willing to take the risk. I remember in that moment saying to myself, anything is better than feeling powerless. And that's when I decided that I needed, and you have to find your place in life where you get there. You need to get to that place where it's so frustrating, it's so unnerving, right? It's so uncomfortable for you to continue the way you are. And a lot of people never change. Most people don't make any major moves in life because they're so comfortable and it's just okay the way things are. And guess what? When I made that decision, I didn't know what it's like to be a full-time entrepreneur. I was side hustling for years and making, some good money on the side, but not enough to sustain myself, right? I didn't know how to do it. I didn't have a degree in entrepreneurship, but I had a fire. I had frustration. I had a why. And therefore, everything else was easy after that, right? Once I had my why, the how revealed itself easily. But the point here is that I didn't just start with the how, right? I did that when I was side hustling, but when I went full time, my why was so strong, all the hows just appeared, and it was easy for me to just implement because I had a strong enough why. I just gotta say that things just moved faster. And that leads me to the next part of this lesson, and it's a very uncomfortable thing to say to you, but comfort is your enemy. And this is just the truth. Most people don't fail because of lack of information. They fail because comfort is addictive. When you're comfortable, when it's not painful enough, when it's just okay, that's the worst place to be in, right? Because you're not uncomfortable enough to make a change. You could bear with it. And I'm gonna tell you what this sounds like when you say things like, I'll start when I have a better idea. I just need to figure out all the ins and outs of the business first. I'll wait until I have enough money saved for me to be able to get started with some seed capital. What you're really saying is, I'll stay stuck because it's familiar. I will stay where I am because I'm just comfortable here. And going out on a limb and trying something new and possibly failing, probably good chance I'm going to fail, just is uncomfortable, and I don't want to go there. I'm really comfortable in my little safe zone where I'm respected and I feel good about myself and everybody likes me and no one's kind of pointing the finger and laughing at me. All that. That's just the truth. The truth is that you are more comfortable where you are right now without changing than going for it and being uncomfortable. A lot of people don't want to do that. And what I've learned is that comfort is a liar. Okay? It's a big fat liar. It tells you tomorrow will be easier. It won't. It tells you the pain that you're experiencing today is not that bad. No, it just compiles and gets worse and worse over time. The pain just gets buried deeper until you either numb it out or you explode, right? So what do you do in this situation? You make discomfort your friend. You gotta start being comfortable, being uncomfortable, right? You gotta make it something that you embrace. You gotta reframe it. If it scares you, it means it matters. If it stretches you, it means it's working. It means that you're growing. Where the stakes are high, that means the reward could be quite high as well. Nobody that has accomplished anything did it without risk, okay? Listen, whatever you've done to get to where you are today, those took a series of steps. Those steps you took got to where you are today, okay? You can't continue to do those steps and expect to get a different result, right? You gotta do something different. You gotta take different steps to get to a different destination. So those different steps are scary. They are different. But you need to overcome that and understand that, hey, that is where I need to do. That adventure, that sense of risk, that sense of, what if I fail, all that kind of stuff, that is a good thing. That is the vibe you should be chasing because that's what's going to lead to something different. Now, I'm not saying throw caution at the wind and not take calculated risks, but you need to start taking some steps like putting yourself out there, talking about your business with your friends and family, taking steps forward by launching your business, putting a website up. You can't just continue to play business. You got to get out there and start accomplishing things and moving forward and getting more comfortable being uncomfortable. This leads me to my next point, which is state comes before strategy. This is where we get tactical. Every action you take is preceded by a state, a mood, a belief, okay? Something that's in your mind, a story that you're telling yourself, okay? The reason why you're not selling is because you told yourself, I can't sell, right? I'm not ready. I'm not good enough. All these things that you tell yourself, that you believe are preceding action or inaction, right? So if you want to change what happens in your life, you actually have to change what you believe. I know this sounds a little bit strange, but let me give you an example, right? For example, if you believe you love pizza and somebody says, hey, want to go out for pizza? You're going to say yes because you like pizza, right? That's one of your beliefs. But let's say, for example, somebody says, hey, this weekend, let's go to an amusement park and go on some roller coasters. And you hate roller coasters. They make you sick and you just don't enjoy the crowds of an amusement park, right? Because that's what you believe and what you see yourself as your identity, you will say, no, I don't want to go to that, right? Because that is not something that you actually want. So this means if you want to make more money, if you want to sell more products, if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you got to believe that you can do those things. You got to believe that you are those things, that you are good at sales, that you are good at business, that you can learn, that you can grow, that you already have the skills you need. You just need a little bit of practice. Otherwise, you're just not going to do what you don't believe. Another good example is think of the last holiday you went on, a vacation, right? You didn't just show up at the resort that's beachfront in Tahiti. There were things that happened before, right? You booked flights, you booked hotels, you maybe planned an itinerary with your family, you discussed it, right? But if you think about the first step of actually getting there and having a holiday in Tahiti at that beachfront resort was you had an idea in your head, right? You had a thought, you had a belief, you had a vision, right? That you actually believed this was possible. Oh, that would be great. Let's go. Maybe you saw an image on like an advertisement on a bus. And it got you thinking, hey, maybe I should go to Tahiti with my family, right? In that moment, you believed that you can do this, right? That you can go on this holiday. And then those actions you took to get there were a result of your belief. Was it because you started with that belief and then you just followed through the steps that you required to have to get there? You start with a belief in your head, a vision in your head. And once that happens, everything falls into place. Same goes with anything else in life. Getting fit, starting a business, growing your business, whatever it might be. You don't wait till you feel confident. You generate it, right? You start thinking about, what do I want? And then once you decide what you want, then you take the steps forward to get it. That's it. It's actually that simple. This is not rocket science. The beauty about life and the world is that nothing's unique. People have done things that you want to do a million times over. You're not trying to get to Mars here, okay? You're trying to do something that has been done several times, millions of times, and you're going to follow the same steps that they did. But there are a few things you could do to make things a little bit easier on yourself. Stop saying, I can't. And replace it with like, I'll figure it out, right? I'll figure out how to do it. Another thing you could do is just visualize the outcome, not the path, not the work, not the steps, just the result, right? This helps you anchor into your why and also allows you to clearly see, okay, this is where I'm heading. This is why I'm doing this because I want this outcome. Maybe this outcome is you being 60 years old, surrounded by maybe your children or maybe some grandkids in a house that you own in a beautiful location, retired, enjoying your life. You got maybe a 12 o'clock golf appointment with your friends. Whatever that visualization is, whatever that life is, really live it. Think about it. Enjoy it, right? Be in that moment, and that's going to fuel you. When your state is powerful, you'll be surprised what you can do in 10 minutes of just thinking and deciding this is what you want to do. This is the result you want to have. Let's recap real quick. Let's bring it home. Don't start with how. Start with why. Why do you want to do this? Why is this so important to you? What does this mean for you? Okay? What is it going to solve in your life? Number 2, let your frustration be louder, be greater than your fear. Number 3, don't get cozy with comfort. It's the enemy of progress. Get comfortable being uncomfortable, right? Stretching yourself, challenging yourself. That's fun. Okay? Once you start learning that, hey, that's actually pretty fun, you're going to get addicted to trying new things. Number 4, change your state before your strategy. Change how you feel about it, okay? Change how you think about it. Put it in your mind, right? Because everything starts up here. You don't need more time. You don't need to read another book. You don't need another 12-step blueprint, right? You just need a new lens, a deeper why, a willingness to move, a line in the sand to say, tomorrow is going to be different. I'm not going to continue to do what I'm doing right now because this is the results I'm getting. I'm going to change my strategy. I'm going to do different things because I don't want to continue to be here, a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Thanks so much for being here on the show and being here at the end of today's episode, which means you're a completionist, you're a doer, you're my kind of person. So thanks so much for joining us. And don't forget that we have our 3 Things newsletter that can continue your learning, okay? If you want more actual insights from me, every single week I send out a newsletter with 3 things for you to think about, something to do, something to learn, so that you're growing every single week. Over 800 people have signed up for this newsletter just this past week. Just go to 100mba.net/newsletter. It's free, it's value-packed, it only takes 5 minutes every single week, and it's gonna help you move a little bit closer to your goals. Before I go, I wanna leave you with this. The truth that I have discovered of doing business for over 2 decades is that business is really 90% a mental game. The stronger your mind is, doing what you actually want, following through, not falling into old habits or letting fear stop you or letting comfort stop you. Being mentally strong is what makes strong entrepreneurs. The more you are able to think something and then take action on it and don't let anything in between stop you, that is somebody that actually gets things done and builds things that grow, that last, that fulfills all your goals, okay? So just remember that this episode is really about a mental exercise, right? Because whatever is between your 2 ears is what's gonna dictate your actions and is what's gonna change your outcomes. All right, I'll check you in the next one. Take care.